Hey guys, welcome back. This time we're going to be taking a look at Red Dragon Inn 8, the pub crawl. And this one not only adds a handful of new characters like all of them have, but it also adds a new mechanic where you can travel around to different pubs other than just the Red Dragon Inn. And each one has some unique things for it, its own drink deck and so on. And we're going to get in and take a look. So on top of everything else, there's a couple extras in here from the Kickstarter, but we'll get to those. Right on top here we have our rulebook, and has a nice component overview of everything that comes in here. And then your basic rules. As always, the most updated one of these has the most updated rules in it. And then in the back here are the character specific rules to the new characters from this set, as well as some variants on how to play. Most of it's pretty much the same except for the new rules for the pub crawling. And here, this is a mess because I've got sleeves and stuff in here because I want to sleeve things, but they won't fit back in the insert here once they're sleeved. So, got those on the side. So we'll go through the Kickstarter stuff here first. It looks like this one has a couple of the prize variant cards, as well as some promo drinks. Now, I'm not sure if these are going to be available in the retail version or if they're only for the Kickstarter backers, but we have embalming fluid and troll swole. And then for the prize cards here, we have the Crown of the Lich King, the probability calculator, and Heart of the Cards. Then there's another promo pack, so maybe those ones, I don't know, one of these comes with the set when you buy it, I think. The other one is Kickstarter only stuff. I'm not sure which are which, so, because this one looks like it has a couple more prize cards in it. Yeah, 2 more prize cards. The pub crawl map. And the Red Dragon loyalty cards. These might be the ones that actually come in the box set, and the other ones are the promo cards, I believe, because of the drinks and things. But that's it for the extra stuff. Now we get into the actual stuff for the set. And the first thing we have here are the pub crawl cards. So on the back of these we have nice artwork from the original set of characters from Red Dragon Inn 1. Even have Pookie on there. And then on the flip side of these, we have the different inns that you can travel to, and the bonus event that's going to take place for each place. So we have the Red Dragon Inn. We have the Harmonious Cup. Lucky's Rolling Barrel. Startusks. The Scurvy Dog. And the Black Dragon Depths, which is actually the villain's pub. Next thing we have are the player boards. In this set, all the big box sets used to come with the larger, thicker player boards. This one didn't. This came with the smaller character-themed ones. So I think they're doing away with those larger ones. But we have Father Fari. And it's got spots up here for his different drinks. Each one of them has a little custom section. And then we have Lucky the Scofflaw. Scofflaw? I don't know how to say that. Nerodia the Petrifier. She used to be, I think, the wench at the Villains Pub. She's on a lot of the cards. Samantha the Bookie. And Phyll Startusk. Move these up. I guess they're off the screen here. Then we have a bunch of the regular stuff in here. We've got a bunch of the larger tokens for the coins that come with the big box sets. And then I'm going to take those out of the bag. I don't use those. I have metal ones. We do have, and these I will take out of the bag, random coins. I can't remember. They had a name for these, but they're basically coins from different factions and races around the world. So they all look different. They all function exactly the same, but they're different style tokens. They did have these in metal that you could get. I did not get those because we used the other metal tokens I have, but it was just a cool concept for the game to have alternate currencies since you're traveling in this one. It was a pretty cool thing, and I would love to get my hands on the metal ones, but they were kind of pricey, so if you're into deluxifying your games, then you could look into those. And you get 2 bags worth of those too. So if you're still playing with the cardboard ones, you can use those. Trying to get everything on camera here, but close enough. If you have Red Dragon in 5, the treasure trove, who doesn't at this point? You got these nice thick dividers to put in there. They have the character names on the front, the set that they came out of, and then a little bit about them on the back. And you have one of them for each of the new characters. Then you also have a basic drink deck one for the set. And then you have one for each of the different bars for the drink decks, because each one of them has their own unique drink deck. So that's cool. Who's there? We have a token for the adventuring party. They're going to be traveling between the different bars. Onto our character decks. The first one we have is Father Fari. He's a human cleric. And as with all the characters, the first half or so of the deck is the basic cards that everybody has, I think. Then we get into more specific cards. A lot of his cards pertain to his special mechanic, which allows you to create special spirits from his different decks. It's kind of hard to figure out which ones are which of these, because they change the names on a lot of them, but they do the same thing as basic cards. But you'll notice on his cards down here that you have different symbols for different drink types. As those come up, you're going to have in front of you these decks, and they have spirits, wines, and beer, and they're all going to be set out in front of you. If I can do this on camera here, with the top card face up on each of them. And then you have a token for Father, for which one he's currently working on. So you're going to have him on one. And then depending on the card that you play out of here, you have the different icons down here. So if he's not on that one, which in this case he's not, you could move him over to that. If he is on the one whose icon shows, then you can put a progress token, which are these little guys here. You put these progress tokens on there to work on them. Each one of these cards has a number here on how many it's going to take in order to trigger. When you get to that number on there, you can play these cards, and they can be countered just like they were a normal action card at that point. But it allows you a little bit of customization to go through and work on specific ones to get various effects There are some cool abilities in each of these, and I'll flip through them real quick. So as you can see, they all do different things. And you can kind of combine what ones you're working on to have them trigger at certain times and kind of get additional effects there. It's an interesting concept. I have not played him yet, so it's something new to me. I'm still learning his character, but I like the way it works, and it's an interesting concept. Next one we have here is Lucky the Scofflaw. He's a goblin rogue, and again, half of your deck or so is common cards that are available to everyone. Then you start getting into a little more specific ones towards the back here. And Lucky's thing is that she is doing things that are borderline legal or illegal. And in doing so, she has a deck, or I should say a chart here, with her heat for the police. And this is going to be sitting next to your player board, and then through various actions like this one here, you gain 1 heat. Doing so, you take one of these heat tokens, and you're going to put them on one of those locations. If you ever get all 3 of these filled, then you have to go through the penalties here. You basically either lose 2 fortitude because you get beaten up, or you gain 2 alcohol content because you're drinking and bribing the guards with alcohol, or the final one is to bribe them off by paying them 2 gold. So that's an interesting concept. I like how it works out. It fits in good with the character, and a lot of these cards are pretty thematic to her shady business that she runs that may or may not be completely legal. Next we have Nerodia the Petrifier, a business gorgon. As with everybody else, a big chunk of her deck is common cards. But then you start getting into more unique stuff, and hers also have the evil theme of the villains because she was a member of the villains pub. And her cool mechanic is this petrify thing. So you have a token for her, and whenever she uses the petrify ability, you're basically going to take cards from a opposing player that you use this on. Where is one? And I can't find a petrify card. You're going to petrify that many cards by taking them, putting them face down underneath this petrify token, and that's just representing where they are so people don't get them confused with other cards on the table. But any card under there basically can't be used by the player that owns it, and they get stuck there until at the beginning of each of her turns. You're going to take the top one of those cards and give it back to whoever's it is. Then there's these ones, which I already went by here, that say glare. And in addition to the normal effect of this, you can do this glare effect by taking that many cards out of the Petrify deck and giving them back to those players. And you get that bonus on top of that. You have to have that many cards in the Petrify deck in order to use that ability. So if you only had 1 card in there, you wouldn't be able to use this glare too. You have to have at least 2 cards. So keep that in mind. But it gives you a more powerful ability there. In that case, you can see lose 3 fortitude instead of 1. So she has a bunch of different variants on things like that that allow you to combo this petrifying and glaring. So you can get, there's a glare 3. It gives you a much bigger effect on the cards. But very interesting character. I love the way that she works. And definitely fun to play against, and it robs people of cards. Now you got to remember you are going to be giving those back at some point, but it can take away a card that they may need at a specific time. You have no control over what it takes, and eventually they are going to get them back, but it's still a cool mechanic. As with all the other villains, she does come with a boss deck, which is extra cards that you add on to her deck if you're playing her as a boss. More and slightly more powerful versions of some of her cards, so that she can be used in the boss mode of the game if you choose to do so. And along with those come the little potion bottles that you also use in the boss mode variant of the game. Next up we have Phyll Startusk, the Orc Entrepreneur. I cannot say that name right, that word right, and I know what it is. Again, a big chunk of the deck is basic cards, and then you start getting into the more specific ones in the back here. And Phil's thing is that he has mixers that he can apply to drinks. And they are combined in here. They're all in the back here. But when you draw one of these mixers, you're immediately going to place them down above your character board. And you're eventually going to get a board of these lined up on top of there. And those are going to be used to combine with various drinks that people have. And you can play them just like they're a card from your hand. And they have the sometimes thing up here. So they can be negated just as a card would be. And these have various effects for the drinks that they are combined with. And they basically give those drinks added effects based on what it is. If you were to split a drink that has a mixer, the mixer is considered to be in the drink as it's split. So it applies after the split to each of the different drinks that it's been split into. So that's something to keep in mind. Kind of an interesting effect. But then we have the last couple cards here for him. He has a lot of ways to negate alcohol, I believe. Just kind of fitting with his character. But he's basically a play on Starbucks, if you couldn't tell. So he mixes things into their copies to make some interesting combinations pop up. He's an interesting character, and I like being able to screw with the drinks and add different various effects to them. So it's an interesting one. You really have to keep an eye on what he's got available so you can play around it, because it can screw you over if you're not paying attention. And the last character we have here is Samantha the Bookie. And I'm going to mess the word up again, but she's a human entrepreneur. I think that's how you say it. I can never pronounce it right. I know what it's supposed to be. But as again, half of the deck or so is common cards. Her more specific cards get into her mechanic of she runs a fight club, basically. And she has cards that allow her to start a brawl. And when you get to those cards, they're going to bring out fighters, and as the fights basically carry on, the bar gets livelier, and you start getting bonuses for various things. It's a very interesting mechanic, and I definitely want to play her some more, because I feel that there's a lot of potential there for some very interesting combos. And you can see here is the Brawler deck. And every time you get one of those cards, you're going to draw the top one of these. And they have an effect on them down here. And these various effects, these are going to be randomized. So as they come up, they're going to do different things based on what you're drawing here. And then they can be negated just like a normal card played from your hand, which is kind of cool. And then each time one of those comes up, you're also going to move the Brawl Token here. A little fist. Just want to focus on it. But that's going to be moved up this little chart. When it gets to 4, she's going to lose 1 alcohol. When it gets to 7, she's going to gain gold. And when it gets up to 10, you actually gain an alcohol back. So, kind of interesting. I love the aspect of that. The fighters do various things as they show up. So I said this thing was a mess. I'm kind of getting around to other stuff that's in here. You get the classic alcohol and health fortitude markers. from the older sets had those cardboard tokens. You also get the glass beads, which I more prefer to keep track of the health and fortitude. It's nice that they kept those around after all this time. And then there's also these tokens, which go with the pub crawl mode for the well, I kind of buried them underneath, but all the different cards that go with each of the bars. We also have two stands. I think one of these goes on the father here to stand him up, and I think the other one goes on the party, so you can have them up so you can see them from across the table and where they're located. And then we have our drink decks, and there's a whole bunch of different stuff here. So we're going to start with the basic cards here at the bottom. And this is just your basic drink deck that you're going to have for playing the game. I think a lot of these are repeats of cards that have already existed. Maybe some new artwork or slightly different. There's so many cards at this point, so many different drinks. I can't tell which ones are new and which ones are just reprints at this point. But there may be one or two new ones in there, but they're all pretty basic. I don't think I've seen that one before. Or the pot of tea with a chaser. So yeah, there's your new drink deck. And then we have these, which are the unique drink decks to each of the bars. So we'll go these just in order here. The first one up is the Black Dragon Depth. Yeah, the Wench Dares You. Must be a drinking contest, drinking event. Tomb Spirits with a Chaser. Hydra Milk. Mushroom Tea. Corpse Reviver. Interesting combos there. Next we have the Harmonious Cup. And I think all of these are new drinks, obviously, because it's the first time we've been to these bars. So there's going to be a lot of interesting things in those. Next we have Lucky's Rolling Barrel, which is her little drink cart, so expect these to be pretty nasty type drinks. Something green, I like that one. Bottom Shelf Ale. Bouncing Dragons drink. I think 5 is the highest I've seen on a drink. Can read that one out if you want. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but that's an interesting one. Next we have the Scurvy Dog. I think this is where the fights take place. Yeah, this is the bar where Samantha's from. And then finally, we have Startusks. The Rejuvenator. 72-hour energy booster, yeah. Moonlight Sugar Death, I like it. So there you go, and I think, I'm not positive on it. We have not actually played the pub crawl mode because we're trying to get back into it. We haven't played in a while, so we're trying to get the basics back down. Then we're going to try out the pub crawl mode, but I believe you can only buy those drinks at that specific bar if you're at that bar. So I'm not positive on that. You'll have to double check the rules, but I'm pretty sure that's how they work. But overall, though, there's a lot in this. I guess it's not really an expansion. It's a standalone box, but that's everything that's in there. And they have a decent tray here. Again, these are great if you only have limited sets or you're not sleeving your cards. Once you start sleeving the cards, they no longer fit in these. They could have made them just a hair bigger. They have plenty of room on these spacers. They could have spaced them out a little more. This one up here is perfect size. It's actually a little big for sleeve cards, so I think they did that for these cardboard ones, so they fit in there because they're slightly bigger. But anyway, yeah, these inserts are great. Like I said, if you're not going to sleeve, you only have 1 or 2 sets, but once you start getting a major set, you're going to want a big thing like the treasure trove, 5 I think it was, and then a smorgasbord box, which I think was 7, is a smaller one. So you can use those to store your game and your guys in once they're sleeved, once you have a lot of them. That said, though, there is a lot in this box. Again, you have 5 new characters. I want to say most of the old sets had 4. Maybe it was 5. I got to double check that. But 5 new characters in here. Plus the boss mode variant for Nerodia. Plus you have the new pub crawl mechanic, which is buried underneath everything here. And then the new drink decks, which go with each of those pubs. You got a bunch of treasure cards here. Again, I think 2 of these were from the Mace game here. The other ones were Kickstarter stuff, but I'm pretty sure you get at least the 2 of them here in the box. So I'll have to double check that, but it's always screwy on how they distribute these after. The tokens for the money from around the world, I think those are a really cool addition to the game. If you're still playing with the tokens, which we did for years until we started getting metal coins. I do want to get the official metal coins for Red Dragon Inn. They're just a little pricey for me for the amount we play it. If we start playing it more regularly, then I definitely might look into those. And I know they offer these coins from around the world in the metal as well. So that's something to look into, but those are a cool new addition. They really don't do anything functionally. They're exactly the same as the regular coins. They just look cool because you have different races together, different societies that are going to have their own currency, so it's kind of cool to have a mix of currencies. Completely cosmetic add-on to the game, though. But all of the new characters have interesting mechanics. Definitely need to play them a bit more to get more of a feel for them and how they work. But Samantha's pretty fun with the brawler deck there. Phyll and his mixers are kind of cool. I need to play a couple of them more to get a feel for them. Nerodia's Petrifier mechanic is another cool one too. And yeah, it's just an interesting, a nice combination of characters, each with definitely unique abilities. And all of them are fun to add in with your existing ones. Now, we haven't played a lot. I think we only played 2 games combining these with old characters because everyone wanted to try the new characters, so we've been playing them with each other. They're all pretty balanced against each other. Haven't played them, like I said, against the older ones to really see that yet, but Slugfest has done a pretty good job of keeping more or less all the characters relatively balanced, so I don't see any problems there. And definitely can't wait to get some more games in person finally for the new Red Dragon Inn here. Anyway, that is going to wrap it up for a look at the Red Dragon Inn 8 pub crawl. I hope it helps you decide if it's something you might be interested in adding to your Red Dragon collection. And something I did skip over on the sides here. There's advertisements for various other expansions that have come out. And another game by Slugfest there on the side. But yeah, I hope it all helps you decide if RDI 8 is something worth adding to your collection. If you're like me and a fan of Red Dragon Inn, you probably already have it. So it's definitely one of the more complex expansions. So if you're looking to just start out, I always suggest people start with RDI 1 or 2 because those have a lot more basic characters, and then these more complicated characters that each introduce their own expansion or their own mechanics and rules come in later expansions, and those I like to add on later on after you've played a few games and you're familiar with the basics. But it's totally up to you. That's just my recommendation. Whenever we play with new players, we try to stick to those original 2 boxes, and the characters are much simpler and don't have nearly as many confusing rules to pay attention to. So that's totally up to you. And again, hope it helps you decide. As always, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.